I am super excited. My name is Jay Kreschel, and I am Director of Learning here at Avoma, and I am super excited for this particular presentation. And I'd like to say congratulations, welcome. I'm glad that you're all here. This particular workshop webinar is really about note-taking and leveraging AI note-taking to unlock the successful meeting and successful meetings. And it's important for everyone in their meetings to take really good notes. And this is what this is about. The strategies today will be super valuable, and hopefully you can use what we're delivering today as both in your everyday job, and then you can kind of take this forward for the rest of your organization. So the people that are going to participate in this particular event are myself, and I'm the Director of Learning, as I said before. And we also have our Implementation Success Manager who will be delivering the majority of this call, which her name is Sarah Cottrell. She is an onboarding specialist. She's a note-taking expert. She's super knowledgeable about our customers. She's super knowledgeable about the technology, which is awesome. And then we have Mark Staggi, who's the VP of Customer Success here at Avoma. He will be chiming in as well, providing some insights on his leadership, on how leadership, the perspective of leadership and note-taking as well. So really looking forward to that also. A couple things on this, though, that I want to make sure that we cover here. One is this is who we have. Two is we have, if you have questions along the way, please do feel free to add them to the Q&A. We'd love to get your responses, your questions. We'll answer them along the way if need be. Else we'll have some time at the end to go through some of those Q&A questions and answers as well. And then we also have some polls, and we'll also ask for some interaction, thumbs up, thumbs down sort of stuff along the way as well. We want to see those Zoom icons used to kind of get some responses from you to keep you engaged or keep us involved with you. And then just the one more thing is that we're targeting this event to be about 35 minutes. So we'll try to keep that right on time to get you out of here to get going with the rest of your day. And with here's the topics that we're going to be covering today. So there's four specific, this is your agenda. One is why are you here? Try to get some understanding there, the impact of notes and how those notes can impact you and what you can impact with those notes. We're going to talk about the note-taking maturity curve, this cool concept of where you are in that curve. We'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about how to move up and or be around in that curve. So that's really what that's going to be about as well. So that's what we have. And with no further ado, I'd love to introduce you to my friend and colleague, Sarah Cottrell.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jay, and welcome everyone. So excited to have you all here and really eager to hear all of your participation and response. I think this is going to be a really collaborative session to get to know more about your strategies and help everyone improve. So why are we here together? So more of us are focusing on tasks that are not as relevant to us. So we're spending our day with administrative tasks and cleaning up notes and data entry all day when we ultimately should be spending more time on our role. We should be spending time selling to our customers and supporting our customers, but we're spending hours blocking time off for email follow-up and for data entry and cleanup. As an individual here at Avoma, I spend a lot of my day talking about meetings, and I should be spending time talking to sales reps about closing deals and customer success leaders about engaging better on meetings. But often a lot of the conversation falls around how to capture that insight better and how to transfer or share that information a little bit more productively and streamlined. And some things we realize is that we all work a little differently. We all have different note-taking styles. We all have different strategies, but there's a way in which we can work a little smarter together. So how does it resonate to you all? I want to know, does it sound familiar to you all when you're at the end of the day and you've spent the full day of meetings back to back, catching up on emails, catching up on your notes, and then you end up piled in a stack of either notebooks, or for myself, I'm a culprit of notepads. Does this sound familiar? Maybe a little too familiar here. So what we wanted to do is find a way to help. Now, think back to your last meeting. Take a moment, really reflect and sit back and think about how that meeting went. Think about who you talked to and sort of what that felt like for you. I'm going to go ahead and, my apologies, folks, here. I'm going to just reshare my screen here. Sorry. Thanks for bearing with me. I'm getting here we are. So how did you take notes here? Did you even take notes? Did you stop and perhaps write things down and follow along with a really organized set of pens and papers and highlighters? Did you have a scribe sitting in the background that perhaps tracked your meeting minutes? Did you use a shared document that worked like Evernote or Google Docs to be more collaborative with your team? Or perhaps you have a really intricate system that works perfectly, but it takes a lot of time and you end up exhausted. Beyond that, I want you to stop and pause for a second and think, why did you take those notes? Did they help you organize your thoughts better? Did they help you stay more accountable for your own responsibilities? Or perhaps it was really for information that you needed for your customers and your CRM data. Maybe it was information you needed for your boss or your higher ups. Maybe it was to keep yourself reminded of next steps and staying on track, or to make yourself more credible with your customers. Why else might you have taken notes? What is the reason for coming in here and setting up that system of information extraction? Is there another reason? Go ahead and throw it in the Q&A and we can get some answers here.
One person in here said for compliance.
Okay. That's a great reason, yeah, to make sure that you're staying on track with all of your compliance needs. Now, we think about how we take those notes, and we also think about why we need to get that information, but what do you actually do? What is that action that's taking place? Do you stop and have to translate information into individual trackers? Do you have to stop and decipher your handwritten notes at the end of the day? Do you send your notes into a black hole and they end up never seen again? Or do you end up with squeaky clean notes, but you're spending hours that you should be spending on your other work? What did you end up doing with that system of notes that you put in place? And what did it become when you finished with your compilation? What did you end up with? What else has been helpful for you? Is there some other method that you use to take your notes and some other action that you do with your notes? What else do you do with these once you're done with that information from your customers and your calls? Again, you feel free to throw it in the Q&A. We really want to know what works best for you.
Yeah, and also one quick reminder, thanks everyone. There's some good questions in the Q&A. A few of these we will answer live at the end. There's a few that have come in specifically around very specific tactics to do with Avoma in general. So we'll save those. We'll kind of answer those live at the very end. Also, I saw a great comment that came in, a few comments that I just want to call out. People that are taking notes for some interesting ways, but that I think resonate with everyone. One comment that I saw came in that I loved was just to keep eye contact with people, which is great. The more that you can automate, and Sarah will get into that later, the more that you can automate your flow, it keeps you present and it keeps you focused. And especially in this world of Zoom, when we're a little bit disconnected from people, that eye contact is so vital. Another person said, I forget everything, so uses AI to help write things down. That was awesome. To remember the pain points that prospects have, that's a great one. And I
like this last one, Mark. This last one, Mark, is great, which is from Daniel. I take notes mainly or manually because it makes the person feel like I'm interviewing him, like a VIP. That whole focus with your customer or with your partner, with your employee or with whomever you're talking to is spot on.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Jay.
Awesome. Really great suggestions. Now, I want us to take a moment and give ourselves an honest review. Now, we've talked about the different ways to take these notes and what we've done with them, but if we're giving ourselves sort of a reflection on our quality of our notes or what we're really getting out of it, it may not be as good as we want them to be, or maybe as good as they could be. So what is the actual value of this information? Or maybe it's absolutely perfect and it is capturing everything, but like we said, it's exhausting and tedious. What are these notes doing to really help you advance in your goals and support your objectives and support you in driving towards your own bottom line? Did they really help you move the needle forward on the deals that you're working on? Or are they just time sucks and adding blocks to your calendar? All of these questions that we go through, the how and the why, really help you analyze your current skills as a note taker and help you think about some areas in which you can improve. So if you had to give yourself an honest review, how useful are your current notes right now? Are they more along the lines of chicken scratch, or are they really perfect and you consider yourself a stellar note taker? You can go ahead and throw it in the poll as well. 1 is kind of along the lines of chicken scratch, and 5 is perfect note taker. Seeing some 3s and 2s, kind of middle ground here. Yep. I'd say myself, I often would rank myself, especially before Avoma, more on the chicken scratch end of things, where I'm kind of arbitrarily taking notes here, but definitely feel the pain there.
Hey,
now
hey, Sarah, when I take my notes, I write as much as I possibly can, and I get confused most of the time. The good news is I can't actually read my own writing, so that's hard. Yeah.
There's a whole kind of spectrum or range, which we'll talk about in just a second, and different techniques for even within that kind of the stage of handwriting that can kind of make that process a little easier or a little harder depending upon where you fall. But overall, I want to just take a quick moment to go over the impact of note taking. Some of this we've talked about, but really start to think about the impact not only to yourself, but how does this start to span out and impact your team and your customers? When we think about ourselves, it's a very direct impact. We're losing that time for administrative tasks when we should be seizing opportunities, calling out more prospects, growing our accounts, really supporting and being advocates to our customers. But think beyond yourself. Think about your team. It doesn't just stop at your impact. Poor habits stunt your entire team's growth. You're going to not be able to capture and share that information and equip your team with the knowledge that they need to be successful in their roles. It's really your responsibility as a teammate to arm your partners with that information. You're also going to get faster, more aligned project management, which creates faster feedback loops and just a better day-to-day work progress for your team. And perhaps most fundamentally is the impact on customers. We're here every single day to be knowledgeable advocates and consultants for our customers. And without good notes, without good information, we're coming in distracted, we're coming in disrupted and disengaged. I loved the comment about someone saying that eye contact is so important. Even in this virtual world, maintaining that rapport and maintaining that engagement is so important. And being distracted by trying to capture information is so distracting and potentially damaging. If you're having to pause and take notes, or even if your customer is sort of waiting for you to pause while you finish writing something down, how disruptive is that to their own flow and potentially disruptive to your larger deal flow? And overall, if you have better notes, you're going to provide a higher quality experience. You're going to leave that impact and that imprint of the quality that you bring to the table because you are coming in that much more prepared. Now, ultimately, note-taking is one of the key variables that is going to make your meeting more successful. We learned a few different ways a few slides ago that there are different styles of note-taking. Some are much more manual, like Jay mentioned, kind of jotting down and keeping track handwritten. Some are much more autonomous and employ a lot of AI. There's quite a few stages in between that create a nice hybrid balance as well. And we call that spectrum the note-taking maturity curve. So there's a lot of different styles or stages, and any one of these is a great starting point for increased productivity. You might do absolutely nothing at all, or you might have a pretty diligent system in place. There's no right or wrong place to start, but it's helpful to understand each one of these stages and where you're at so that you can begin to incrementally grow and improve. Now, folks may be starting in this more manual stage of note-taking. Perhaps you may be someone who is a very memory-driven note-taker. You may even know this person on your team who comes in with no notebook. They come in fully engaged. They're very, active in the meeting, but They may be not taking the cleanest notes, or perhaps they find themselves burnt out with all of the follow-up that they need to do. Perhaps you've dipped a toe into handwriting some notes, but you're still finding it's taking a lot of time, and you're hitting your top priorities, but there's still some information missed, and you're spending more time rewriting or color coding than you are reviewing your pipeline. We move into this stage 2, or what we call digital note-taking. This is where most note takers are right now. This is where you start to see structure appear. You start to see a template of some sort of guide that's helping craft your script and what kind of information you need to get out of your standard meeting types. But how often does that information get scattered elsewhere, or untracked or inaccessible to the rest of your team? Even within this stage itself, there's a whole variation of how you can act as a note taker. Perhaps you're a very diligent document updater who keeps that information and trackers up to date. And perhaps you're not as diligent, and you're starting to see that affect your deals and your team. The main thing is to understand the cost that comes with more manual work, and the cost that you're omitting from time that should be spent on more valuable tasks. Moving into more of a blend between AI and human-assisted technology is where we start to see more of an exciting introduction of AI. So this means things like bookmarks and templates that can begin to extract, based on preset criteria, really valuable information. And that's going to start to give some time savings to you. Maybe you've seen or used some tools out there to record and transcribe calls, which is great. It's awesome to see these on the rise out there. There's often some gaps or some pieces of comprehension that aren't caught in those tools, however, where these first few stages, the strength of things like the agility of handwritten notes or the ease of digital tools aren't taken into consideration. And these tools aren't able to extract insights without the assistance of a lot of human aid. So perhaps a first draft maybe AI, but the human assistance is still really heavy here. What's exciting is stage 4, where we see the sprouting up of more generative AI. This is where artificial intelligence is going to play more of an active role, independently listening for things like keywords and important information, autonomously providing summaries and key takeaways. I'm sure many of you have started to see the exciting new chatbots like ChatGPT that are really interesting to kind of create and curate information for you. And that type of information and that type of power is now being supplanted into things like meeting management and note-taking to really supercharge what we get out of our day-to-day work. And this is what we do here at Avoma, and this is what we're looking forward to as well. Kind of in the future, looking ahead, is fully AI, that kind of fully self-driving car notion that most of us are comfortable with, but no one's really reached this yet. This is the future. We're coming closer to this every day. Think of your assistants that start to pick up on your normal meeting routines. Think of the assistant that turns on the light when it's sunset because it starts to assume that that's handy for you. The same type of partnership and proactive assistance is going to be what we start to see in our meeting management and helping make us more productive in our day-to-day. Now, these 5 stages come together to form, like I said, the note-taking maturity curve. And I'd love to take a moment and pause and just get a feel from you all about where you feel you're currently falling on this curve. Do you feel like you're at more of a stage 0 where you're just using memory? There's no right or wrong answer. I'd love to know, and we can launch a quick poll. Where do you feel like you're currently landing on your skills as a note taker?
Hey, Mark, as everyone's taking a moment to pull in their put their answer into this poll, any of the questions that you want to kind of cover, or anything you want to kind of hit in there? Or?
Yeah, thanks, Jay. Lots of really good questions coming in. A lot of these we're answering as they come in, so look for our answers in there. But some we will save for the end. I think there's some good ones on that I've seen on, hey, we are already using Avoma, and how do we tune it? How do we get more out of it? How do we enhance what we're seeing? so we can take the full advantage of AI plus some of the other tools that we have available. So we'll save those to the end so we can get into specific details. But glancing through, lots of great comments. So these are really helpful. And looking at the poll is interesting. Looks like a pretty close battle there for first place between the digital and AI / human hybrid approach.
All right, thanks, Sarah.
Thanks. And we can go ahead and when we've kind of reached quorum at the poll, we can close that out. And one of the nice things is, as a meeting management tool, we talk to a lot of different professionals, a lot of customer success, a lot of sales, of course, but really all virtual professionals who are inundated with meetings each and every day. So the nice thing is we started to see some patterns emerge and some trends emerge on what success really means. And we started to see a link between taking higher quality notes and working to improve the quality of note taking, and teams hitting their goals and reaching the performance metrics that they had set in place. So it's really exciting to see that a lot of you do feel, I'm just getting the poll results myself, lots of us are at that digital stage. Many of us are at that AI human hybrid stage. And why does this matter, and how can we help? So here are a few tactical ways, no matter what stage you're at, that you can take away from this and start to move yourself up the curve. Now, if you're currently not doing anything at all, that's okay. The first step is to think of yourself as a note taker. Start to think about your typical call types. Think about what you're looking to get out of each meeting and start to supply yourself with the right tools. Maybe it's setting up your workstation with the right utensils or the right pads of paper, whatever is going to feel most comfortable to set yourself up for success, and just start those habits as a note taker. Now, if you're already taking notes by hand, you may feel like you're just shuffling through stacks of paper and trying to look for what you need half the time. So start to think about how you can create more of a structure or an outline. Create some types of questions you typically ask, or some talk tracks that have been found effective in your types of calls. Find what works best for you. And just in these small increments, we've started to see an average of 2 hours saved per week when you start to come to the stage of creating a process or a structure in place that helps guide your typical meeting types. So this is when you really start to get time back in your calendars to spend on really high value add items. Moving into that next stage of kind of a higher blend of AI, you've created the guides, you've created notes, you've started to create an outline for yourself. Start to think about how some automation can help. Think about where you can implement some sustainable routines that help scale your habits. Maybe take a look at your whole process, your whole customer journey, and think about, are there any gaps or opportunities where automation can make my life a little easier here? Are there any integrations that I can help set up? And that's where we start to see the next big jump in time savings. As generative AI begins to play more of a role in our meeting management, this is where the tool is going to become more of an active partner and start to anticipate your needs. You'll still need to do some of that custom configuration, as Mark called out in the chat. That's what we're here to help with, is setting up those customizations or those bits of tailoring that are going to help the AI get to know you. But then you're really going to get that time savings back, because the system is going to partner with you and work harder for you.
Yeah, and there's one really good question that was perfect timing that Tim had in, which was if he could create custom keyword phrases like, so let me talk about specifics about our company, and that would pull sections out as a queue. And that is a perfect question. It goes right to the stage and right to one thing that we do. I know, Tim, you're using Avoma, which is awesome. So that can very easily be set up. We won't get into the details of that today with time here, but through using what we call trigger prompts, you're able to set any of those phrases up, tie them to customized templates, and pull in a summary of what the answer was to that section. So what we can do for you, Tim, and maybe some of these other questions that we may not get to, is also just have your CSM reach out to you after this call and go a little bit deeper into that. But perfect question, and wanted to interject that there.
And specifically, Lisa, you asked a similar question, which is, we want to discuss creating templates. Yeah, your CSM can reach out to you. We'll make sure you get connected with them, and then we'll make sure that they have the information for you.
No, and that's what this is all about, is making sure that when you're ready to take this next stage, you're set up with the tools to do that, because putting in the framework and the foundation is really where you're going to get that time saving out and make the program work a bit more for you, and really spend more time on your job. Now, I want to be mindful of our time. I just want to spend a moment looking ahead to the future of AI. This is going to require a deep integration of new technology. So when we talk about fully autonomous meeting technology, we're talking about sometimes better anticipation of needs than even we can do ourselves right now. But how can we supercharge our customers with the new integration of AI, make this 100% autonomous, and really remove the need for human manual work here, so that you can spend your time delivering on those intangibles like your knowledge and what you bring to the table as an individual. So hopefully you've bought into everything we've done so far in this program, but I want you to start to get selfish coming out of this workshop and think beyond the impact for yourself. If you're taking really great notes as an individual, that's fantastic. But what if the other teams that you work with are not? What if your sales team or your other departments aren't doing the same level of quality and note taking? How is that going to distract from the momentum that you have as a team? And how much stronger could you be as a team moving forward together if you're all contributing towards the same goal with that productivity? Now, Mark, I know you're still here. As a leader in our organization, have you seen the same type of impact, or can you speak a little to the note-taking impact on our team?
Yeah, no, great question. And I think one key thing when it comes to what I look for as a leader in a tool, and the importance of just really good note-taking, comes down to how do you standardize things so that in the end, you create a really good prospect and customer experience. For me, it really always goes back to what is the customer experience, what is the prospect experience? And by having that structure, even in not only the output of your notes, but in the template. And I know we talked a little bit about templates, but that's one thing that we can get really deeper in with customers there that would love to. Having that structured template just also helps you in terms of the flow of the call. And the final step the final thing that really goes into one thing that we will discuss in the next webinar coming up soon is really around voice of customer too. So everyone here, whether you are in leadership and you're looking to help standardize notes, so you have visibility in your CRM around what's going on in customer prospect conversations, or if you're an individual contributor, you're still a leader. I always think of everyone that is an individual contributor, an AE, a CSM, whatever your role is, you're a leader in so many ways. And by using this kind of structured note process, you also can derive a lot better visibility into the voice of customer in terms of feature requests, in terms of things that you're doing that are getting in the way of a deal getting closed. And you have a lot more visibility then when you have these structured notes, and especially some of the summarization of AI helps you to promote that voice of customer throughout the company. And really helps you to lead, helps you to empower your customers and your prospects.
Awesome. Yeah, love to hear it. And we're here to help on that journey. So as we've been talking about for folks who are using Avoma, certainly here to help set up that configuration and connect you with your customer success manager to set up that tailored configuration, and even look into the templates and configuration that you have right now and make sure that that's working as efficiently as possible for you. And if you're not signed up yet, that's okay too. If you're thinking about your past meeting and you're really looking to level up that productivity and you want to learn more, we have a sales team here that is happy to provide some additional demos and product learning. But I would encourage everyone to keep the conversation going online with our community here to share strategies, share celebrations, share struggles, and continue leveling up our skills as we enter this new year with so many competing priorities. And of course, remember to bookmark our help center. That is going to be really helpful to give you tips and tricks to just continue leading a very efficient, streamlined meeting management system. And I'll go toss it over to Jay to bring us home and close us out.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. I appreciate that. And thank you, Mark, for participating. And thanks to everyone on the call who's been putting in comments in the chat and we're, dialogue back and forth. That's super valuable. And it's really what these sort of workshops and webinars type situations are about. One of the things at Avoma that we do and we love talking about is the meeting life cycle, from before the meeting, during the meeting, after the meeting. That is the whole perspective. Like, we care about all that part of the meeting. Some of our competitors and other people in this space are only really talking about a specific sliver, but we have that whole thing in mind. Scheduling a call, sharing agendas, call recording, transcription, AI note-taking, conversation, revenue insights, all that. But what we do is we think about it all day, every day. And I want to talk about what's next for us, and that is taking this note-taking piece, which is just a sliver of that life cycle, and we take that sliver and we're going to expand upon it, and we're going to go on to the next piece of this, which is around collaboration. So meeting collaboration, voice of customer, as Mark alluded to, call playback, alerts, playlists, commenting, tagging, taking the next step within that meeting lifecycle conversation. So we hope that you will find some time to join us at this next event. We have our next one will be on March 2nd, specifically around meeting collaboration at 10 a.m. Pacific. And if you have any other questions or any other topics that you want in, send them my way, and we'll make sure we get those answered. So there we go. So we are at 33 minutes after the hour. Mark, are there any other questions that you want to hit right away, or do we want to, if you have anything specific you want to call out, we can definitely do that. I mean, I know that we're going to be able to talk to your CSMs is probably the best way, but if you are a prospect as well, we'd love to answer those as well.
Yeah, no, thanks, Jay. Thanks, Sarah, for everything so far. So there were a lot of questions that we did not have the time to get to, and some of these are much more specific to your use case. So Tim, I know you had a few very good questions around how to use the trigger prompts and templates. We will have your CSM reach out to you and make sure that we walk you through that. And there was a couple other really good ones as well.
There's one, Mark, that was from an anonymous attendee that, I would love to figure out who you are if you want to put your name in there, because we'd love to reach out and provide you with some resources or some connections there as well.
Yep. Yeah, no, definitely. There was a good comment from Nathan who, was really looking to get a lot more tactical details on time saving. So Nathan, we'll have your CSM reach out to you as well. That way we can get into your business, your use case. Are you and the team on the BDR side, AE side, post-sales side? There's so many things that we can help give you in terms of fine-tuning that to your specific need. So a lot of the questions like that, Allison, looks like you had a few questions on just tips to improve your use of Avoma. There was a couple others in here, probably a handful that we'll all reach out to right after. And as Jay said too, and Sarah said as well, use those contact emails that we have, or any other way to get a hold of us. We're very easy to get a hold of us. help@avoma.com is the best way, or interact with us on any of the social sites. And we'll get a call set up today, tomorrow, and we can get in as deep as you would like.
All right, everybody, thank you very much. We're at 35 minutes after the hour. Appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, and night.